BLUETTI's Fridge Power is an all-new approach to portable power. It's designed to be permanently paired with a fridge, install in minutes, and honestly is a welcomed innovation in the space. We love seeing companies reimagine things like this, but new doesn't always mean better. So why would you buy BLUETTI's Fridge Power instead of just a regular power station? So welcome back to the lab where our opinions cannot be bought. This right here is basically a power station in an all new format. It's ultra slim. It's meant to be, rested on top of your fridge, mounted to the wall behind your fridge, or even on a wall like adjacent to your fridge. It can be used as a normal power station. You have your plugs and some input and output stuff going on. You have your fans on the side, but it's designed to be married to the fridge. As always, we will leave links to this in the description down below, as well as any discounts that we can get from BLUETTI to save you guys some money where possible. We also have a super quick quiz. So if you guys are looking for a power station, you don't know exactly what you need, enter the quiz, takes 30 seconds, gives you an instant recommendation that we recommend for you. Anyways, we have put this thing through the ringer here at the lab. We've been spending a lot of time trying to figure out what it is and what it's not. But before we jump into all that and our experience with the all new Fridge Power, let's hit you with a super quick spec teardown to get you up to speed on what this big flat pancake even is. First up, this thing passes the tiny baby lift test. It weighs about 43 pounds, has a little screw-on leather handle over here so it's easy to carry it around. It is a 2016 watt-hour battery bank, and you can expand it with up to 3 expansion batteries. Each battery is the same size as this. It has an 1800 watt continuous output from the inverter, the 2 AC plugs on the top. In terms of powering this guy up, you can plug it into a regular plug in your house and it'll charge at about 1400 watts. So you can charge it up in just under 2 hours, and you could charge it with 1000 watts of solar, which would charge this thing in about 2 hours. In terms of plugs and ports on this guy, like I said earlier, there's 2 120 volt plugs right here on the front, or the top, or the side. I guess it's the top. You have your AC inputs. This is where you would plug it into just a regular house outlet in your home. You have your PV input over here, so that's where you would plug some solar panels into if you wanted to charge this thing with solar. And on the side right here, you have your expansion battery port. So that's the communication cable. And then that is the thing that actually connects it to other batteries. On the other end, the bottom, the front, not really sure how this is meant to be oriented.
Bottom side.
I called that the top, but this would be the part that faces out when it's plugged into your fridge. So the plugs would be at the back and the wires would go over the back. This is like the front of the unit. You have your little power button right here. You got your screen, and then obviously just like product name and whatever. Very simple. It just shows you, as you guys can see, there's like 3 charge, like their battery indicators basically telling you how much power is in there. The screen doesn't tell you a whole lot. This thing is 75 millimeters thick. BLUETTI realizes that calling it millimeters makes it seem a lot thinner. It's about 3 inches. It is designed to be rested on top of the fridge. So there's rubber feet right here. They're actually really good. When you put it down and push it, like it doesn't go anywhere. You could slide your fridge in and out. You're not gonna have to worry about losing it. It also comes with a mount. You can bolt that mount behind your fridge or to a wall nearby, mount this thing on there. It also comes with an optional magnetic display, which is pretty cool. You can stick it on the front of your fridge, or if you had this in a trailer, RV, whatever, you can stick it anywhere that's convenient for you, and you can monitor it from that little screen, which is cool. It does pair with BLUETTI's app, which isn't the best app in the power station industry, but it's pretty good. This one has like the storm mode. You can do a bunch of stuff that we'll get into a little bit later, but you can control it all via the app. And right now, at the time of filming, you can get this thing with our discount code for $721. That is just for the Fridge Power. Each expansion battery with our code is $664, and the screen is also sold individually for 46 bucks. So jumping into some of the things that we really like, before we get into what is honestly my favorite part about this, there's a couple small things that we like, starting with the software. The app for this lets you pair it with Alexa and Google Home, which is really nice. So you could ask Google, what's the battery at? Is it charging? All those kinds of things. Pretty cool. It also has like their version of a storm guard. Basically, the app will monitor the local weather to wherever you are. And then if there's a storm coming, it will make sure that this thing fully charges before the storm arrives, so that if you lose power, your fridge will stay on for as long as possible. And once every 3 months, whether you're using it or not, this unit will actually perform a full discharge and then charge back up to make sure that the cells are balanced and everything stays healthy, which is a pretty cool feature. I also do really love the display that this thing comes with. You could just charge it with a USB-C. It's magnetic, so you could stick it to your fridge. Has a little kickstand. Comes with a 3M tape. You could stick it on your wall in a trailer, a camper, or your garage, whatever you want to do. Very versatile little screen. I think it's pretty cool because this is meant to be stuffed somewhere you cannot see it. That's why there's no real information on the actual little black screen with the button. It just shows your charging status. You're not really meant to be able to access this. So I think it's cool that they give you an optional screen to monitor it from a distance if using the app was too much work for you. And while this thing is meant to be stuck on your fridge, so it's not entirely logical, there is a solar input right here, which we do like, because if your power was out for a lot longer than you expected and you had solar panels, you could bring this outside, plug solar panels into it, charge it back up, bring it back in your house, put it back on top of the fridge. I highly doubt you're gonna wanna wire panels in through your house on top of your fridge to charge this, but it's cool that it does have that option. And if you guys have seen any of our other videos, you know that we did some full fridge testing last year to find out how much power a fridge really uses, and it's a lot less than you might think. In our testing, multiple fridges, multiple environments, the fridges use about 1,300 watt hours per day. This is 2,000 watt hours, and every battery is 2,000 watt hours. Now, if you have a power outage and you're in the desert, keeping your fridge cool is obviously gonna consume a lot more power than if you have a power outage and you live in Alaska. So generally, you could say that one of these will keep your fridge going for one day. So you could have one unit, 1 day of backup power, a unit and an expansion battery, 2 days of power, a unit, 2 batteries, 3 days of power. You get the point. In our testing, this would actually last you about a day and a half, which is pretty cool. But we like that it's pretty easy to plan, you know, each unit that you have is 1 day of backup power for a fridge. We also like the testing results. This thing was 81% efficient, which is pretty good. It charged up faster than it was advertised, about 1 hour and 48 minutes. In our idle test, it used about 16.8 watts per hour, which is kind of on average for a power station. Basically meaning if you had the AC plugs on, but you weren't using them, it would last about 5 days while idling. It does have a sleep mode though, and a couple other modes to make sure that when you're using it, even just when you're actually using the plugs, it's a little bit more efficient. So that 16 watts isn't terrible because for the most part, you should be using it. And overall, the performance of this was really good. My favorite part about this thing is the build. I think that this power station space actually really needed something like this. This is cool for so much more than a fridge. It's cool that, yeah, you could lay it down on the top of the fridge. It's very slim, it tucks away, it has a mount, whatever. To me, this is practical for so many things. Like, I look at this and I want to shove it under the backseat of a truck. It's way easier to hide this in my truck than a typical power station would be. You can put this anywhere that you want power in case of an emergency, like even near your sump pump. You could just stand this up in the corner. It takes up no space. You could put it in a small travel trailer, an RV. You could put it in a rooftop tent. Like, it really doesn't take up any room for what it is. And I really appreciate that about it. It's basically a power station. It's a little limited in the fact that you don't have the USBs and all that stuff. But if you're trying to bring power around with you, this is a really cool unit just strictly because of the build. I feel like we need more power stations that are just less intrusive. Power stations are built as like, they're just a box. Look at this box I have. It's gray just like every other box, and it has all these plugs. It's like this one, I don't know, you can put it in a slide out on a trailer or your truck bed, or like, I don't know, I just feel like it takes up no room. The little rubber feet keep it from sliding around. The wall bracket's great. You can monitor it from the screen so you can have it far away and still keep track of it. I just think overall, like, a build like this was very much needed. Now, this one wasn't perfect, as most new releases aren't. And I think the biggest thing that we don't absolutely love about the fridge power is that BLUETTI just needs to get their shit together on their website and also in the slide deck that they send. Basically, most power station companies are Chinese, and they think they can just put stuff on their website that's not accurate and just get away with it. There's just a lot of false claims that go on in this space, and we always make you guys just pay attention to it. With this one specifically, we got it early before they released it. They sent us like a little pamphlet thing. Here's all the specs, here's what it does. It's not on their website, so there's no information, right? You just look at the pamphlet. The pamphlet is full of misinformation, which is annoying because most people who get products like this don't test them. They just go on rants. They may plug it into their fridge and show you that it works, but like, they're just gonna look at that deck, They're gonna read it, they're gonna go, oh, here's a bunch of facts, and they're gonna say it in their YouTube video.
They're trying to sell it, dude.
Exactly, because they're getting paid to sell it. And then they base their whole video around the information that they learned because they don't actually have the ability to test the stuff, and they're getting paid to do so anyway. There's a bunch of misinformation in there, which we don't like. For example, the idle consumption. It's advertised that this thing has 8 watts of idle consumption. It says that's better than the EcoFlow Delta 2. In our testing, the Delta 2 has 13 watts of idle consumption, and this had 16.8. So this is actually worse. And that's just an example of things that, like, once you actually get your hands on these products and you start testing them, you realize BLUETTI's just trying to get people to hype them up, and it's like not really true. Anyways, a lot of brands do this. It's nothing new, and it's nothing against BLUETTI. It's just like, y'all gotta figure that out. That's annoying. And especially in the marketing deck, that's frustrating because a lot of the stuff that they said in there, we found not to be true. The moral of this point that I've just rambled for 5 minutes, just be careful where you get your information. Some of the other things that we didn't love about this is that the screen is not included, it's an accessory. The solar charging cable is not included. That's a bit of a buzzkill because you might actually realize you really want solar charging when it's needed and you don't have the cable. That sucks. The expansion battery has a USB-C plug on it, not the main unit. That's also sucks because if you had this like on top of your fridge and there was a power outage, you could walk up, plug your phone in, whatever. You can only do that with an expansion battery. This unit actually has no USB plugs. Small things, but added up, it's like, would be cool if we had some USBs and maybe a little bit more information directly on the unit. Another thing that we noticed is that these plastics are cheap, and that's probably due to the like lengthy design. It's a little hard to make it structurally sound, but in our experience, a very small drop to the ground results in a lot of damage with something like this. So you got to be really careful with these units. And probably the dumbest thing of this whole system is you cannot stack the batteries on top of each other. So this is meant to work with up to 3 batteries. You have an inverter and a battery side by side on top of your fridge. You can't put 2 batteries on top of that. They literally don't stack on each other, which is weird because it's meant to go on top of your fridge. So the more you want to expand it, the more you're forced into mounting them behind your fridge, which then pushes your fridge out in your living space, or you got to mount them somewhere visible. Kind of weird. You think that they would put some sort of system where you could just stack them on top of each other. That would make more sense. And the last thing is that the solar input is only on the main unit, which means if you had this and 3 batteries and your power was out and you were running low on battery, you can't leave, you know, this with 1 battery charging your fridge while you charge the other batteries. You have to actually take everything outside or wherever your solar panels are, plug it in, charge them all at once, and then bring them all back in and set your whole system back up, which is just a little thing again, but it'd be cool if you could charge each battery with solar independently. So at the end of the day, who is this for? Should you buy it? It's great if you have a specific appliance like a fridge or a freezer or a sump pump that you really want to make sure in a power outage, it just gets the job done. Like for me, putting this near a sump pump up on the wall even, it doesn't impede on your space. You just leave it there, you move on with your life, and you know that it's always gonna be there, ready to go for when the power goes out. Personally, I am going to use this thing. Not even for my fridge. I think the fridge is a really good use case for it. I think that this is great. I'm gonna put this under the backseat of my truck and take it camping and do things like that with it because I think it's really, really good for that use case. Basically, if you were looking for a power station, but you were planning on leaving it somewhere and you don't want it to be bulky, this might just be a very good solution for you. But let us know what you guys think. Would you buy one of these? Otherwise, that's pretty much all we got for you guys today. Let us know what you guys think this new design. I would love to see more companies design a little bit more unique power stations like this. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already, and we will catch you in the next one. Peace out and stay charged.